Hello, people. I am back. And I have brought with me great tidings of new things. Okay, so let me wait for some people to file in here. Okay, I'll have to check out that. I'll check out that link later, Dookie. Live. Okay, cool. And then make sure all these go live. Okay. We're live. Hopefully, theoretically. And let me get this chat window visible so I could, yay, Dookie, you in here. Excuse me. Okay, so, first of all, there's something I want to thank you guys for. A while ago, I placed a, like a link, a referral link for Splice, so that you guys could just, you know, whenever you go sign up for Splice, you could add me. And I could get a little bit of a kickback from it in the sense to where I'll get some free credits when everybody signs up. And this has kind of gone, like, I haven't been subscribed to Splice for a while just because I got some stuff, I filled up, I got a lot of what I felt I needed. And then I kind of just closed it because I was like, okay, you know what? I'll come back when I want more samples again. And that's probably going to happen sometime soon here because I think I'm starting to run into a place where I'm like, okay, I need more samples, mostly in the, like, I want more kicks because I've kind of been using one kick pack for the entirety of my career, which has been the, let me show you this one kick pack here. So I've been using like these kicks for the entirety of the time I've been producing, and there's a lot of variety, but at the same time, they're kind of like one style too. So I don't have too many options in that regard. And also, I always like more effect and ambient sort of sounds, like just random effects and also like transitional effects. So I was thinking I'd go check that out and see kind of what's happened, and I want to show you guys this. You guys have racked up 3,800 credits for me. So that's like, if I sign up, I literally get 3,800 extra samples just because you guys were so helpful in that regard. So thank you guys so much. That was like, that's really cool. So that means when I go in, I could grab a whole bunch of stuff. And there's one other thing I wanted to mention. I noticed Splice on like their blog here, I think it was. When was this? I need to look. Okay, this was 5 weeks ago. So it's been a while since I've been in Splice. But this is really cool here. CR2 is now like, they now have stuff in Splice, which is just awesome. Cause that means, okay, I don't know. So this is just the showcase, it looks like. But I think they added like a whole bunch of packs to Splice, and Kashmir said that his go-to kicks were typically from CR2. So that's very cool to see that CR2 has kind of joined the bandwagon there and hopped into Splice. So I'm not quite sure if I'll do it in this stream, but I'm kind of planning on just opening this back up and getting a whole bunch of samples. But it kind of depends. If there's like packs you guys would like me to check out, I can do that specifically. If you know them by name and you're like, hey, yeah, I've seen this, I'm not sure if I want to grab some stuff from it. I mean, of course, the thing about Splice is you don't have to commit to a whole pack anyway. But yeah, so that's the dealio there. Thank you guys so much for the referrals there. I'm going to put that to good use. I'm going to grab some packs and I'm going to give you my feedback on them. I've been using the Kashmir one interchangeably here. I have quite a few things from it. So this is this a kick? I don't remember. Yeah, I think this is no, this is a clap or snare. This is a snare. Then we have some effects here and just an exhaust. And then I believe this is a hat. So I've been using some of the stuff from Kashmir packs. You guys have seen me use it before. But anyway, I'm sure you guys are wondering. Nillium. Yeah, sorry about that. I was supposed to start streaming earlier, but I kind of lost track of time. So sorry about that. Yeah, that was absolutely my fault. I should have been streaming a lot earlier. But we got some cool stuff. So yeah, you guys may be wondering, what is this track? So let me go ahead and play this back for you. You might like it.
Sky and make me feel alive. Flying into the sun, we're just burning up. When we're wondering why the city feels so small, looking down from the sky and we can see it all. Take me into the sky and make me feel alive. Flying into the sun, we're just burning up. When we're wondering why the city feels so small, looking down from the sky and we can see it all.
So that's one of the things I got to work on a little bit during the week. Fun stuff. I really like this track. I've been having a lot of fun with it. So cool things happening there. No. I'm not going to work on Seventh World. I actually have something new. So this is a cool track. I like it. I've been having fun with it. So first easiest thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new software instrument. I was like, I couldn't figure it out for the life of me what was wrong with the drop. And then I realized I need a certain type of bass line to kind of go underneath of this. So okay, so I think I'm gonna try just running it on C for now. But you guys know that I like these, the kind of like rolling bass lines where it's like da 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 da. So I'm gonna try to run one of these. And I think that's exactly what it needs underneath of it. I'm just going to cycle this on C for now. I think that's actually root node of where we're working. Yeah, that's where we're working. So so I'm just going to run this. We're going to find a synth for this. Not quite sure what I want to pull open right now. I think I'm going to get a pretty good tone from a silent bass. And I might actually just make a bass. We'll see. I'll probably just hop through a bunch of options here and I'm actually gonna turn off the limiter too. There we go. Switch back. Yeah, okay, so what I'm gonna need to go do more let's try Seven Skies. Might be something aggressive enough in here. I need something like really aggressive. Kind of like that, but it needs to be a lot rougher. Kind of like that. So we're just gonna add a quick side chain on here using volume shaper. Also, I do kind of have an ETA, so I'm basically making a free version of a plugin like this. Not exactly like this, because this one actually uses Bezier curves, and I'm not going to do that for this one. So you could see it. You could do like really weird things with this. I'm just going to do what LFO Tool does. LFO Tool has a much simpler method for curving, so it's going to be a lot more like LFO Tool. But anyway, spring break is coming up, not next week, but the week after. During that week, I'm going to work on that plugin as much as I can, hopefully be able to finish it. I've started it a little bit, but I haven't gotten too far on it. I'm just kind of like building the foundations of it. But ideally, what will happen is basically in around 3 weeks' time, you should have a free version of this /LFO tool. So that's going to be really cool. I think I have... Ooh, I actually do have an image of the UI on my flash drive. Let me pull it up really quick. So you guys can kind of see what the plan is for how it's going to look. It is called Simple Side, with the implication being that there's going to be something coming after it called Super Side, but that's going to take a lot longer to make. So basically we have, it's not going to be like this. It's not going to have this sort of line. That's a Bezier curve sort of thing. It's just going to have a dot here. So you dot here, and then this is your control point, and you'll drag it up or down, and it'll curve it up or down like LFO Tool. So it's going to be like LFO Tool in that regard. And then you're going to have your blend here, which is going to be wet, dry, how much you want it blended. Then you're going to have your rate, which you could change. It could be like 2/4, 1/8, 1/... Actually, I don't know if I'll make it actually go to 1/16, because that'd be useful, but that'll be really fast. But anyway, idea is it just has 1, 2, 3, 4 things that you could tweak. And so it's going to be rather simple, hence the name Simple Side, but it's also going to be super, super useful for a lot of people. And yeah, it will be free. This is just a little playhead line that I'm going to add on too. So yeah, I'm working on this. And a lot of people are going to be happy about that, I am sure. So, okay. Yeah. Nellium, you will be unbanned. However, it's, we'll tell you when. And the reason is because we need you to know that this is, you kind of need to learn to respect authority. Sure, you might not agree, and you don't have to agree, but you need to respect. So that's the critical takeaway from this. And so we'll let you know. And rest assured, you are going to be unbanned. But next time it happens, you won't be unbanned. So keep that in mind. We do have rules in the Discord, and you need to adhere to them. So anyway, we're doing not trimming. We're doing ducking. So I'm probably gonna need something like this. And then what's going to sound like in the drop is this. So this is a little too dark, which I kind of thought it might be. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this here, and we're going to get the combination of these two might actually be perfect. So it sounds like this. And it's not soloing the right ones. That's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. Now, I just kind of want to mess around with one thing really quick. No, you post a link to that was unacceptable. So just want you to know. There are rules. Let's see. So I got a new plugin. Because it was dirt cheap. It was $25, which it normally isn't. And it's not usually $25 in the sense that it's on sale for $50 right now, but sign up for Plugin Alliance's newsletters. They give you basically free stuff. This was $25 because it's on sale for $50 right now, but I also got a $25 coupon in the mail. So, yeah. Okay, so this is Envelope, and it's, if you've heard of Transient Designer, or like I have the other one here, it's kind of like a truncated version, but you have SPL Attacker here. So Attacker, what it does is, I think, I have it on the right track, yeah? Yeah, it's not doing quite as much as it usually would, but what it does is it increases the attack of the input signal. So it kind of makes it a little bit sharper. And I'm just kind of messing around with this right now. I'll probably actually have to go into the synth and manually adjust the envelopes so that we don't have like the issue with the fact that it's like we don't know when exactly to trigger it. So but anyway, I'm just going to kind of mess with this a little bit. So right now it's in dual band mode, which means that we have attack and sustain are two different sections. So if we set this to full range, yeah, it kind of changes the knobs. But in dual band mode, we pick our attack frequency, and we could adjust the attack. We could either smooth it out or sharpen it. And then we have, similarly, we could adjust our sustain frequency and smooth it out or shorten it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a little bit of fun with this. We're going to go figure out our frequencies with an EQ really quick. I'm going to, yeah, that's off. I'm going to remove SPL attacker. And this is one of the reasons I like envelope a little bit better than transient designer. Transient designer is just kind of signature transient designer. You increase or decrease attack, and you increase or decrease sustain. This one, you could actually tweak the frequencies and go in and like select that, which is kind of nice because it gives you a little bit more control. So we're going to find the area that we kind of want to reduce the sustain, which looks to be around 300 hertz. So we'll try to shorten it up around there. So we'll set that to around 300 hertz. Turn that on. And it doesn't do too much. It just cleans things up a little bit. And then, of course, I am still boosting this in the EQ, which is not what I want to do. Yeah, it kind of tightens up that area. And yeah, thanks. Okay. And then we have, we're going to find the area we want to increase the attack a little bit. Which is basically around 4K. That's kind of like what I'm liking there. So we'll go and bring this to 4K. And that makes a big difference. You could tell the difference there. So actually, to be honest, I'm kind of liking the sound of this. So I don't think I'll... I don't think I'll actually tweak it in silent, because that actually worked really well. It's worked a lot better than I expected. This one, however, I'm going to have to tweak inside the synth, because our envelope's here a little bit too long. And then... So basically all I did was trim this so it doesn't hang out quite as much. Give it back some of that air. And it should sound a bit more like this. And then what we could do now as well is we could balance down this high end. I might actually want to EQ some of the high end out too. So we'll set this to recall default. Like that. And then we're going to go into the low end here and clean up the low end a little bit. So I really like that really boxy sound. We're just going to trim that out a little bit. And I do mean a little bit. It's not too much we're doing there. And then what we're going to do is tighten up the low end by cutting out some of the low end here. Just to kind of cut out the unnecessary frequencies down there. Because we already have the kick taking up a lot of that frequency space, so we kind of want to open it up. Well, thanks for dropping in, Nellium. HG2 plugin. No, I haven't tried it. I haven't heard of it. I could look it up really quick. HG2. Oh, the black box analog design. This was, which one was this one? Oh, this was the tube one. Yeah. I saw it when they released this one, and I was like, oh, that looks kind of neat, but I didn't get a chance to check it out, and it's pretty expensive. So, instant tube vibe for your tracks. Oh, you know, one of the weird things I do want to mention, speaking about Plugin Alliance, there's something that's definitely worth talking about in terms of their plugins. So if you notice, like, you have this really nice like TCL UI that looks like it's all analog and stuff. It looks very nice. And then you go to something like the BX limiter, and it looks kind of like cheesy and low quality. And you could kind of see this with all the other Brainwork stuff too. Come on, load. Most of the Brainworks plugins, come on, go back. If I could scroll down to the area when it loads to illustrate my point. Come on. Here we go. Let's see. Yeah, but most of the Brainworks stuff looks pretty like poorly designed. So you'd be like, I'll just like, yeah, there's some good stuff here, but like this Brainworks stuff kind of looks like meh. I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of the Brainworks stuff, the UI looks meh and it looks kind of cheapo, but the sound is great. Not all of it. Not all of it. I've heard BX Refinement. This one is apparently crap. A lot of people don't like this, but some of the other ones, like, I've heard the limiter is really good. BX Digital 3 is really good. So this one right here. And where was one of the other ones? I think BX Console is another one that's like known to be really good. But yeah, don't judge them by appearances. They're actually pretty good plugins, even though they look kind of meh in terms of their design layout. So, but yeah, so we have this now, and we've kind of listened to them solo, and we kind of like the sound that they have now. So let's listen to them in the track and see how they fit. They're probably going to be too loud. I probably need to turn them down. Turns out they're actually too quiet. And in the meantime, I'm going to need to tweak some things. So those are kind of at a good level, but I need to decrease the tail on this. The tail on this is too long. And if you look at the notes, I think as well that I made them... No, I didn't make them longer. So some of these notes are actually too long. I need to go on to this one. So this one, this one, this one. And I need to decrease the length on these. And basically the idea here is I'm shortening the notes, but I brought the release up just a little bit so that we could have, instead of having these notes full blast and instantly cutting off after each other, we could have them fade out a little bit early so that we kind of get a little bit more contrast between the notes. So. And I might keep these muted once I throw the bass line in because it might take out this lower space. If you take a listen here. They're kind of in the same area, so they may end up end up overlapping too much, so I might have to pull out this one. But that's fine, because I only put these here because it felt like the drop was missing something. So if I replace those with the thing it was missing, then cool. Okay. And one of the things I haven't really talked about that much, but it's probably worth mentioning, is if you see me kind of go like that while I'm working, it's because I'm actually changing the volume level on my headphones. So I'm not always producing at the same level. I really often I'll switch it and I'll turn it up loud and then I'll turn it down quietly. Because when it's loud, you get a sense of what it feels like when it's all super big and powerful, and you're like, okay, is everything sitting in the right spot? Do I like where things are placed? But when you turn it down, you get it's kind of like zooming out, and you're like, okay, I can see everything from a distance now. Do I like how everything's laid out now? So I do that rather often. I don't think I've really commented on that, but just adjusting the volume on my headphones to kind of change my perspective while mixing. So right now I'm actually working at a low level to kind of get the levels right between these two, because I know if I have these too loud, if I have my headphones too loud while I'm working on these two things, I'll be like, yeah, these sound nice and powerful and big, but the problem is if I zoom out, you'll notice they're too overwhelming. But when you have your headphones loud, it just sounds good because it sounds cool. So. Okay, cool. So now let me create a quick track stack here. And then we're going to call this bass. I haven't actually named a lot of my tracks, you can see, so not super organized here. But the reason I'm doing this is so I could just have one MIDI region, and I only have to modify that one to affect both these tracks. So what we're going to do now is we're going to expand this out so it's at least 4 bars. I'm probably going to actually make it I might make it longer. We'll see. And I don't remember. Yeah, okay, so that's what we're working with. I think our scale is such that we have the only sharp we have is this one. I'm not sure though, but this one might be in key too. No, it's not. That one is. I was kind of thinking. Yeah, I was pretty sure it wasn't in key, but I was like, maybe it is. I vaguely remember putting notes there. Actually, I might have actually put notes there somewhere in the track. No, maybe I didn't. But and then we're going to duplicate this so I don't have to copy so many notes again. And then we're going to move this up to here. And I believe, is that one? Which one's in key? No, I think that's, yeah. There we go. That's cool. Okay, so I'm gonna change the last few notes here. I don't think that's in key, but I'm gonna try that. I want to see how that sounds. Nah, that's too far down. Cool, and then we could join these here, loop that, and then we have our nice long section of bass line that's not super repetitive because we change it up over these two 4-bar sections, giving us an 8-bar section that's nice and fresh. So now, one of the things, once again, we kind of like nailed that down a little bit. I'm going to save this, hopefully. Save this. There we go. And we're going to pull back and take a look at see how this looks in the context of the track again. So
The city feels so small, looking down from the sky, and we can see it all. Take me into the sky and make me feel alive. Flying into the sun, we're just burning up. When we're wondering why the city feels so small, looking down from the sky and we can see it all.
no, that does not work. So the thing is, like, we have a transition. I don't know what it is, but it's the way that this one is playing. I'm going to try moving the starting note to various places to try to figure out where it should be. Try it there. So I think the problem is I have it on like sort of dissonant sort of notes. So it's creating like this eerie sound. We just kind of went from like this, you know, future house sort of sound. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Because we could change progressions later. I'm going to create a duplicate of that. We're gonna tweak this one and have that other one there just in case. Because we kind of like changed the vibe halfway through the drop, and it'll sound a bit more natural than changing from here. Come on. I need to return to this other note that we were playing? Might be able to actually do that. Yeah, that sounds totally off. Come on. Let me grab the notes. There we go. Nope, this sounds bad. So we'll move that one back to how it was. I don't know. It just kind of still sounds off. I might actually need to drop one of these down an octave. There we go. I think that's right. That's what I need. Yeah, it sounds a little bit off because I need to go. I need to go something like this. Yeah, I need to go start with this and then go down, huh? Back up to here. Sweet. Yeah, this like I kind of like when I was starting on this note, I knew on D here. Did I say C earlier? I think I called that C is a D. But yeah, when I start on this, it sounds like weirdly off. Cuz it's almost like I'm using two different keys. Maybe this is like the minor key and this is the major key. That could be why. Wait, did I do... Oh, I did do that. That down there. Okay. Klaus, you don't have... Okay, so you have a 2015 MacBook Pro and you can't get the latest Logic because it isn't version 10.11. Do you have to wait for 10.11 to come out on your laptop? I kind of... I think you do. But it should be there, though. If you have the 2015, it should be... The... What's it called? Sierra, isn't it? I think. Because I'm on... Oh, it's not the... Oh. Propeller hood rewire. Oh, interesting. Here we go, about this Mac. Because I'm pretty sure... Yeah, I'm on El Capitan, which means that the next one is Sierra. Oh, this is... Yeah, this is 10.11, though. So, El Capitan, you should get that on a 2015 MacBook Pro. 10.10. Oh, okay. So you don't update it normally. What you actually do is you go into the App Store, and there's a button. So instead of... Actually, it's kind of in two areas. Right now, you can see right here, if I go into updates, it won't show like the next major version in updates. It actually shows it right here. So you click free upgrade. Otherwise, you could just go to I don't know if it's still... No, it's not available anymore because they've kind of outsourced it since Sierra is the newest one. So, yeah, otherwise you could just go to the front page here and you'll see macOS Sierra there, or free. Usually it's somewhere around here too. But it should be pretty easy to find in the store. But yeah, you have to actually grab it from the store. Oh, here we go. There it is. So you can just download it there, and then you have to run it that way. Yeah, no, it doesn't. You have to manually do it because it's a much bigger change, so they make that optional for people. But yeah, once you update with this, you should be able to get the latest version of Logic. So, coolio. Speaking of latest version of Logic, it just wants to update the RTP. or the remote desktop client rather. Yeah, so that's kind of how you fix that one. What do I use? And if you mean like what software to use, I don't really use anything. If you mean what samples do I use, this is kicks from a kick pack that I use all the time. I think in the description of this video, you could see there should be, I think it's still there. Yeah, so it says go here to download all the samples I use. And you can pretty much get everything I have minus this Sounds of Kashmir pack. Because this one is one that I purchased. Pretty much everything else, though, other than this one right here and this one right here, are all like free things that you could use. And I'm using a kick from this pack. It's kick 107, which is tuned to A. And yeah, so that's where the kick drum comes from. The hi-hat loop is from the Progressive Trance loops and samples. I don't remember where this one's from, but it's in the links as well. I don't remember who made that. But it's actually been stretched, so it sounds really weird. But it's not that big of a deal because I'm just kind of using it to fill out space. So if you take a listen to the drop. And I lied. I actually am using software this time. I realized I remembered I'm using Ultrabeat because I could load in hat samples, and the thing that, like, the real reason I use Ultrabeat is I could do the shuffle. So if I select all these notes, and then I could drag the swing knob over, and it'll kind of get me like this shuffle with the hi-hat. But I think I'm using Hit Machine here. And you kind of hear all my drums come together sounding like this. So we actually have a... I'll maybe close the door. 1 second. Sorry, yard workers. Okay, so I have a clap here at the bottom. It's got a lot of reverb, and it's actually, you could barely hear the clap itself. What I plan on doing, I think, I'm just going to kind of show you guys really quick, is I'm going to duplicate this layer and actually remove the space designer. That's loud. Excuse me. And then what I'm going to do is... How was that peaking? That's not what I meant to hit. Come back. Go. Which button is it? It's this one. Yeah. So you'll actually be able to hear that now. That's really sharp. I apologize. Let me turn the gain on those. 6. There we go. So it'll sound like this. Of course, it's clipping. I'm going to turn these down, but what I wanted to do was actually... Oy, this is going to be tedious. Make it so it's on every other beat, kind of like a regular clap would be. So this is kind of like fill out, add noise to the drop, and I'll show you what it does if you take it out in a second. And then this one is kind of like my hats plus extra effects to kind of give some variety. So that's kind of like the idea there, except I'm gonna have to actually like swap out I'm just gonna remove all the plugins, and I'm gonna have to swap out the sample too, because it needs to be a more diffuse clap that's kind of like psh, 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 instead of like a sort of sound. Let me go back up to the chat so I could make sure I'm not missing anything. How do you get your sounds to sound pro? Less is more, man. I could walk through the beginning of here to kind of show you some of the stuff that I've done, because you could get a very pro sound with only like a few tracks. But you could be like a new producer and have like 60 tracks and it sounds like super bad. And you're like, so I have so much stuff. It should sound like full and big, but it never does. Why? And I'll talk about that in a second here. First, let me find a nice clap. So let me. I actually think I like this one. I'm going to make it only appear in the second half. We're going to duplicate this here. Duplicate. And there we go. Okay, so probably want to drop the gain on these a little bit so we don't get peaking. So we'll make that -7. So I cut out like all the mid-range, and that's kind of okay because I already have so much going on in the mid-range. There we go. Just to kind of add a little bit of stereo to this. There we go. And then finally, for the finishing touch, we're going to add a bit of reverb to this. So I'm actually going to go with Space Designer here. Oh, there's another reverb plugin that I need to get. Christian has been telling me about it, and I need to grab it. It's a free one. It's like Tal Reverb, I believe. No, not Tal. It's Vox and Go. Vox and Go's reverb, I think. I could be wrong though. I can't remember. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for a like a lot of people like to go for long reverbs for their claps. But that's not actually what I'm going for right now. I'm going to go for, I think, a medium space. And what we're looking for is something to just kind of give a little bit of space to it on the left and the right, instead of just like spreading it out in stereo, to kind of give it like a sense of location in the mix. So that's way too long. What I'm more of looking for is something like, I don't know. I was actually really big. I don't know. That might work. that's good. Okay, so let me walk through the things I did there. So first things, I just kind of cut out the low end so we didn't get that like weird boxy sound. And that tightened it up a lot. Then I added Camel Crusher because I know what it does with the default setting is it like makes everything super like and hissy. So that's what that did there. And then I added a little bit of Stereo Maker to kind of spread it out a bit. So it just kind of widens it out just a little bit. And then I add Space Designer. And what I did with Space Designer, you might have noticed, is I tweaked the pre-delay. What pre-delay does is, let me draw this out here, because it'll make a lot more sense if I draw it out. What am I looking for? Sketch. There we go. Takes forever to load. Is this an EDM track or dance pop? It's kind of like progressive future house, yeah. So normally you have your clap that kind of goes something like this. Like that, right? So that's your clap. It's very short. And then you'll have something on top of it that's your reverb. And your reverb is going to follow that clap and be a lot longer. And it's going to kind of layer on top of that. Now, one of the things you might have noticed here is these two parts overlap right here. So what we get is we kind of like get this, they mix together and it starts to get messy. So what we could do is we could actually take this. It would have been better if I drew it in a separate layer because it'll make more sense. So let me add, how do I add a new layer? File. Give me a new layer. I'm not going to spend too much time trying to figure this out. But anyway, I'll just draw it out. So what we could do is we could delay the reverb by a certain duration. So like that much. And then our new reverb here will be like this. And so we still get this really long tail, but we shift it out of the way of this one. Now what this does is this is like one very key thing about, so it's like, Dookie asks, how do I get my sounds to sound pro? This is one very, very simple way. And what you do is you let the original sound be very clear when you're adding reverb. And then you create this pre-delay so that your reverb doesn't sit on top of it and kind of like wash it out. You just let the reverb kick in slightly after the sound is beginning to finish. So maybe you don't do it here. Maybe you start so it's like a little bit earlier. So kind of like that. But it'll prevent your sounds from getting super washed out. So you do that pre-delay there to increase the clarity of your original sound, despite the fact that you're adding reverb, which is known to kind of decrease clarity and make things sound further back and more washed out. So, so that's what I did there. And we could kind of A/B this a little bit in Logic. So if I close this and should be a way for me to like set it so, yeah, whatever. So we have like this pre-delay here. So it kind of prevents the original sound from getting washed out, and we still get a lot more reverb than we were expecting. So, and you'll notice that this is pretty low, and that's because this is a very aggressive reverb sort of sound. So you don't want to have it like super high, otherwise it'll be very dominating. So let's take a listen here. Let's go back to the beginning, make sure everything that we've done kind of fits, and I can also talk about some of the mixing techniques I used at the beginning here. So.
alive. Flying into the sun, we're just burning up. When we're wondering why the city feels so small, looking down from the sky and we can see it all. Take me into the sky and make me feel alive. Flying into the sun, we're just burning up. When we're wondering why the city feels so small, looking down from the sky and we can see it all.
So I'm gonna need to tweak this a little bit, and I think there's a note here that's not particularly making me happy. I think it's this one, like that. I'm gonna mute that for now. I think what I'll do is I'll actually like, oops, that's not the right button. Yeah, I know. You have problems. There we go. No idea why these. On, off, remove that. There we go. Okay. Make sure my stream didn't die from hitting all those weird buttons. Okay, it's still going. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of things I was going to talk about here. Let me see where I want to start. I need to loop that back so we have that. Okay, so one of the first things you could do to sound more professional is by having one of these dedicated drops. So you notice here I have like this section.
Looking down from the sky and we can see it all. Take me into the sky
and then I have this section. These dedicated drops here give you an opportunity to kind of break things down a little bit. So we retain some of the aspects of the previous part. So all of these aspects in particular for this particular one. And then we add in this. And a lot of people downplay the importance of effects. Not necessarily downplay, but they don't really realize the importance of effects in this. So if I mute all these, you'll notice it sounds like this.
I just say you feel so small, looking down from the sky and we can see it all.
So, I mean, obviously there were missing elements because I muted a whole bunch of stuff, but the idea is it didn't sound anywhere near as professional. And the reason is because we have these two things that are filling it up with white noise.
And we can see it all.
So both of these just add a whole bunch of noise in the background that fill out the space a lot. And they don't need to be super loud. They just need to be in the background enough to kind of like create the sense of motion. And what it does is it creates like this, it makes this like dedicated buildup a lot more impactful because it sounds like you're dropping out a whole bunch of elements and you're going into something. Even though we didn't really drop out anything, we just had like this really big vocal.
Take me into the sky and make me feel alive.
That was the only thing we dropped out, but it sounds like we dropped out a lot more because we did this impact here, this exhaust. And that makes you think like you're going down. So the reason this build works so well is because we have something that says we're going down, which implies that we're dropping stuff out. But you could hear the snare come in. And you're like, ooh, I know this snare. This snare is a build snare. And then also you have this sweep that is rising up. That tells us we're going up. So this impact here says we're cutting out to do a dedicated build. And everything else here, the snare and the risers say, and now we're rising up to the drop. And that's like how each of these elements kind of tell a portion of the story in your track. And if you pull out these two effects, it just loses a lot of that impact.
And you can see it all.
It just kind of sounds like this previous section keeps going, and then we're doing a build because the snare comes in and we have this. So like these two effects are very critical, and you need to consider the volume levels that they're at in order to get this to sound right as well. Because if you have this riser too loud, you could hear the riser, and people are annoyed because it's like you don't want to hear this riser so much. It kind of just needs to come in the background. As you could take a listen here. So you could hear it. It starts to move pretty fast at the end there. It goes, whoosh, and that's like when you actually start to notice it's there. But otherwise, it just kind of feels like the track is raising. And that's why we use white noise so much for these things. White noise is like no information because it's like completely random. But you could do so much with it. You could really fill things out, and you can make things go up. You can make things go down. You can make things sound harsher. You can make things sound smoother. There's so many things you can do with white noise. And it's like super underrated. When you learn to like master the use of white noise is when you learn to to better control various aspects of your track. For example, I think this right here, this is just like tuned white noise basically. And it does so much for the track. Like, listen. It sounds like a nice progression, but it doesn't really sound professional. It sounds like, okay, so this guy came up with a nice progression. Then you add this, and it just like adds space so much. And I'm lagging a lot. Okay, I'm gonna see if I could fix that because I have noticed I'm probably lagging quite a bit. So yeah, we have this, and it adds space to the track. So that's the idea there. Okay, so I was kind of figuring I was lagging a lot, but no one had mentioned it, so I was just going to kind of leave it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I could tweak some settings really quick. I think I'm going to drop the stream really fast. And then come back. 1 second, let me see. I'm just trying to check some stuff really quick. See if there's any better way to do this. Yeah, I don't think there is. Why does it lag so much? It's like always an issue. Streaming 441. Oh. Yeah. Oh, okay. So there's one thing I could potentially check here. Yeah, let me see if I can fix this really quick. I'll be right back, guys, because I know it's probably been starting a lot. It says I've dropped 20% of my frames, so let's see if I can fix this. I'll be right back. Okay, hopefully I'm back. I don't know if this will fix it. Doesn't look like it's fixing it, huh? Nope, it's not.